What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Sergeant Moose here with my good friend and co-host, the Echo Thief. And
How's it
guys,
going, guys?
we're back with episode 4 of Moose and Echo's Cosmic Gaming Experience. And dude, honestly, episode 4 already, man. It seems like just yesterday we were starting this thing. But guys, we have an awesome show lined up for you today. Kind of reaching back to last week a little bit, where we talked about some pretty beefy gaming news. But even this week, I think it's going to be even more beefy because there's a lot of stuff going on. That we're really
a lot of news. Yeah,
very short. Yeah, absolutely. But with that said, guys, we're gonna dive in, cover some smaller nuggets that Echo and myself dug up, including what I'm really interested in: Slipknot being playable in Smite. This is gonna be really cool. This is Echo's story. I can't wait to hear it. Also, another good one: Sega's planning several remakes, remasters, and even new games in the near future. We also have Ubisoft. They're planning to release 4 games in the fiscal year of 2023. And one I'm also very excited about, the highly anticipated Dead Space, guys. Awesome horror game.
Yes.
Officially has a release date for the remake. So definitely excited to talk about that. But that's also going to coast us into the big stories. Now we have EA announcing 4 potential massive titles coming up. Really good ones that I think you guys are going to be pretty excited to hear about. And we also want to talk about a new live service looter shooter called Space Punks. Very ambitious game. Can't wait to talk about that. And later on we have some Mass Effect news coming up for the new Mass Effect game. And even some Silent Hill news for you Silent Hill fans out there. But with that said, guys, we want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing the past week, what we've been getting into gaming-wise. Echo, what have you been playing last week, man? What you been getting into?
Well, I've been playing a lot actually. So luckily, I've had some extra time this week just by how my work has been. I had kind of a not a easy week, but a bit lower work schedule, and so I ended up being able to play a lot. And I've been playing a lot of Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. Now,
oh, nice.
So what this is, so if anybody's familiar, the Vampire the Masquerade is a long running RPG. It was first a tabletop thing, and then it became there was a PC game that came out. It was called Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, or not Bloodlines.
I did hear.
Why am I blanking on that? Anyways, it was a really good Vampire the Masquerade game that came out in 2004 on PC. Everyone loved it, including myself. And they're releasing the sequel to that 2004 game, but they're not going to release it for another year or so. And so what they're doing, they're kind of doing this kind of big media assault where they're giving us some smaller games in between to tide us over. And one of those smaller one of them, they've done a story-based game that's kind of in the same vein as like a Telltale game. And but no, this is one of their small games that they're pushing, and it's a BR in the Vampire the Masquerade universe, which is great because
that's awesome.
the universe of Vampire the Masquerade has like a bunch of classes, like 8 classes, and so that's perfect for a BR or a team based or a hero based BR kind of thing. And I'm having a blast with it. It's free to play. You can't beat that. Of course, there's a battle pass you can get, but
Dude, honestly, I've seen a lot of things with regarding Blood Hunt, but I didn't know Vampire the Masquerade went back that far, dude. That's insane.
Yeah, man. It goes back into the 90s. It might even be before that. I mean, I know that the 2004 PC game that came out is the one that everyone kind of is the beloved classic that everyone talks about, and I love it. And so I can't wait for the sequel because it the first game that they released, it took story and RPG mechanics of decision making and outcome and effect and everything to a new level that we hadn't seen. And so hopefully they're gonna keep that propelling and make it even cooler. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
So yeah,
man. Sounds good.
But yeah, other than that, man, I'm playing. I haven't played it a lot, but I did try the new Warzone Operation Monarch game, which, if anybody's familiar with Warzone and the new season and stuff they've got going on, Monarch is basically it's the same Warzone situation that you've had, but this is basically dropping Godzilla and King Kong into the mix, which just makes it epic. That's the only word I can think of for right now.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I will say I've only played one match, but it is an intense experience, very intense. Lots going on. Kong is throwing rock boulders. Godzilla's shooting fire. I mean, it's insane. But the other thing I've been playing a lot, that I've actually been playing a lot more of, is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now, I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. People that know me probably know that. Because I usually don't shut up about it if I get going, so you'll have to police me. But
I guess we'll get to the rest of this stuff on the next podcast.
Yeah, so I picked up Mass Effect Legendary like when it first came out, and I played through Mass Effect 1 and 2, for like the 6th or 7th time it had been. But I held it on Mass Effect 3. I started it, but I didn't finish it. So lately I've been going back to that and finishing Mass Effect 3, having a blast doing it. It looks phenomenal. One of the best remasters I've ever played. It's the 4K, the upscaling and the remaster and everything is just, everything looks smooth. The audio is fantastic. The just the environmental ambience of all the environments here are cool. So yeah, very, very, very fun stuff there. But what have you been playing, Moose?
Yeah, man, very cool. So, yeah, as far as the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, man, I wanted to pull the string on that. I wanted to get it when it first came out, but I watched this streamer. Her name's Coconut Shrimp. I guess it's kind of a little bit of a plug there, but she's typically a Valheim streamer, but she also plays a ton of Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and just like you mentioned, man, it is the pure definition of a remaster. It looks very, very well. It looks really, really good, and I know a lot of folks are happy with it, but.
Which thank God, because there's a lot of remasters that have come out in the past, I don't know, 10, probably 15 years by now or so, that have been awful. Silent Hill HD collection. There's been a lot of stinkers that have come through, so it's refreshing to have this be so great. But okay, I'm stopping. I'm going to shut up about Mass Effect.
No, it's all
go
good.
ahead.
So as for me, the games I've been playing have pretty much been some of the ones we've been talking about in the last podcast, because if you know me, if I play a game, I stick with the game for a long time. Like, it'll be the only game I play. But I started out the week playing a lot of Aliens Fireteam Elite. For some reason, I just have this itch to get back into it, and I've been playing a ton of it. Also, with the anticipation of Evil Dead the game, which just released 2 days ago, coming out, I've been trying to. I'm the type of person, whenever a new game comes out and I know I'm going to get invested in it, I always try to catch up with the games previously to kind of do what I have to do in them, because I know I'm probably not going to touch them again for a while. But yeah, I've been playing Dead Island, which I know you hear me talk about all the time as well. I'm trying to platinum that game on PlayStation. Still haven't gotten there yet. It's quite grindy, but other than that, man.
Yeah, but you love that game. You love that game, man.
Yes, I do. I mean, it's my baby, man. Like, I played it. I can't tell you how many times I've played it through. I got it. I pre-ordered it when it first came out, way back in 2010 on PS3. Played a ton of it then, and now I'm playing it again, and it still feels like sometimes like a new experience.
It's so fun, man. And I feel like that game kind of got a raw deal, just as a side here.
Yeah.
Like, when of course, that first trailer they released was the one where it was the hotel room, and the family was in there, and the zombies were coming through the doors in slow motion. They played this emotional ballad of music, and it was very emotional and touching. And so people were expecting it to be, I guess people were expecting it to be this narrative-driven, emotional experience, and it wasn't, and that's totally fine, because what they gave us was a really fun zombie game. Like,
it really is. It's kind of mindless in a way. I mean, there are linear missions that you do, and you do have to do some objectives, but it's
we had The Last of Us, we
yes,
always have stuff like that,
yeah. I mean, that's what you can kind of refer back to, if somebody's looking for something like that. But I mean, it's just. For me, it's just something that it's just always captured my interest. It's like, for me, it's the perfect zombie game, man. It's just for just the way it is. But yeah, other than that, man, I'll talk about that all day too. But Evil Dead, been playing it, absolutely love it. I'm not gonna go majorly into detail, because that'll be for a whole other podcast, because that'll take a while too. But I will say I was very, very skeptical of the game, and of course it's still very, very early. since release, but this game blew my expectations away, and I say that with 100% confidence. Even if you're not an Evil Dead fan, the game, I find it incredible right now, and that's, I mean, I don't like to say that too often about games, but we'll
Sure,
see.
sure.
We'll see what happens here in the future, but as of right now, I'm having a blast with it, man, and that's why we buy video games, right? So,
Dude, totally, and I take that to heart. I mean, we both like, you know, asymmetrical horror, but I know that you like it significantly more. So when I hear you talk about it like that, and also I know you that you're not a hyperbolic person. You're not going to just start praising something blindly, you know, just because it's the popular thing to do. So when you say it's good, man, I believe you, and so that's definitely on my purchase list right now.
well,
For sure.
and here's the thing, you know, asymmetrical games, they needed kind of like, they needed flipped around, man. They needed change, they needed things added into them, and this, when you play Evil Dead, it does not feel like an asymmetrical game right off the bat. It feels like a story-based game. Yes, there are them elements, but it feels like,
Sure.
It's just, I'll just stop there. With that said, though, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and jump into our first news nugget. Now, Echo, I know you're a huge fan of Slipknot as well as myself, man, and I haven't heard much about this, but I want to hear about it, man. What is the relationship here with Slipknot and Smite?
Okay, so this comes from Loudwire. Now, for like all of our articles, you know, this comes from us just browsing and checking out what's going on in the realm of gaming, you know. And, I do too. I love, you know, Moose and I both have a big appreciation for metal, and so, you know, something like Loudwire is always pretty reliable and pretty badass. So, but yeah, this comes from Loudwire, and it says Slipknot are wasting no time diving into their Notverse, partnering with Titan Forge Games to bring the 9 playable characters within the popular Smite multiplayer online battle game. As you can see in the trailer below, and we'll put that in the description, all 9 Slipknot musicians are prepared to do battle with each mostly aligned with the instrument of their choosing, which now has become a weapon. And seriously, axe-wielding skills of Jim Root, Mick Thompson, Alessandro Ventrella, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, look absolutely scary. Not to mention the thunder pact and the drums of the already powerful Clown, Jay Weinberg, Michael Paff, and a closer look in the trailer below. So, you know, I've never actually played Smite. I don't know. I know it's been around for a good 5 years plus at this point, probably.
Yeah.
I know a few people that play it religiously, but I don't know a lot about it. But aside from I've never played it, like this is a cool thing, man. I think it's awesome. Like, of course, it's not anything super original. We've seen tie-ins with bands and films and musicians and things like that before.
Right.
But I mean, knowing, you know, Corey Taylor, the lead vocalist in the group, knowing what a cool dude he is, to see them involved in something like this, I know that he thinks it's cool too. Like he's, you know what I mean?
And the way that's set up, it feels very Slipknot-esque, dude. The way the way you're describing how this is going to be.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's cool. I mean, just to see all the members in the game, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I probably butchered the rest of those guys' names in the band. That's I would call myself a I don't know, probably a medium weight Slipknot fan, meaning that, you know, I've got all their albums, but, you know, there's a lot of band members to keep up with. And there's been some that have died, you know, which is, you know, really unfortunate. But no, man, the story is awesome, and I love seeing when these guys, you know, Korn as well does a lot of fun stuff like this, and I think they did an online concert for I think it was Second Life. The online virtual space, I want to say. Don't quote me on that because it might be another virtual space or something. But they did like a virtual concert kind of thing. But yeah, it's a fun story for sure.
I love seeing collaborations like that, man. You know, it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely, man. What do you got for us for the next story here?
Yeah, so one of the nuggets we want to talk about, guys, is Sega has some pretty big stuff coming. They are planning multiple remakes, remasters, and new games in 2022, guys. Now, I think it's 13 to be exact. Pulling up an article from usatoday.com, which we'll also link down in the description. Now, guys, apparently Sega has had a good last fiscal year, and they're looking to keep the ball rolling. Now, for those of you that know a little bit about Sega, they've had their ups and downs in the past. Lately, it seems like they're kind of trying to find their identity a little bit, see where they want to go with things. But it does appear that there are 13 games in total that are due to be released sometime within the next fiscal year for them. So what they'll be, we're not exactly sure, but they did touch on a couple that were already released, which is Sonic Colors Ultimate, Super Monkey Ball,
Yep.
Banana Mania, and Lost Judgment. So for those of you that, I mean, Sega has some awesome classics. I mean, they're
Oh,
up there
yeah.
with Nintendo, in that department. And if there's anything going to be really, really solid that they're going to be releasing with these remasters and remakes, I think it's definitely something to kind of look into. So it looks pretty
Yeah,
good.
I do too. Of course, Sega has a real big soft. I have a big soft spot for Sega, just because my first experience with gaming was with the Genesis and actually Sonic the Hedgehog. So, Sega just hits all my nostalgia spots, pretty easily. Of course, I always loved Sonic, I even loved the transition from the 2D to the 3D with the Dreamcast and everything. I mean, I followed Sonic from its infancy all the way up. But of course, Sonic isn't the only thing that Sega has. Sega's huge. They have a lot of properties, and I guess people are still holding out for hope for the Shinobi, new Shinobi, maybe a game or remake, maybe they'll do.
Yep,
So
that should definitely be one involved. I agree.
yeah, a lot of fans of that game franchise. House of the Dead would be really really cool to see a remake of that. If anybody's played the light gun shooter in an arcade or played it on a console, it's an old school, very old school type of game, but because you're just shooting at a screen, with a on rails kind of thing going on, but no, I'm excited to see what comes out of this. I know they have Sonic Origins coming up pretty soon as well.
The collection,
So
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, and
but yeah,
I was going to mention that a lot of people, they look at Sega, and they think because they're not involved in the whole console thing anymore that you don't hear much about them anymore. But they are, like you mentioned, they're still a massive publisher. They have so many properties. They handle many AAA massive titles too. So
definitely.
I think they're definitely going to do their homework on this one, and I think these remakes and remasters are probably going to be some pretty good stuff. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that and let you guys know as we hear things. All right, guys, we're gonna slide over here to another story. This is one that I picked up on. The headline, and this is from tweaktown.com, by the way. Headline reads: Ubisoft to deliver 4 AAA games in the fiscal year of 2023, including Skull and Bones. Now, the games that we're kind of anticipating in this lineup are Skull and Bones, Mario and Rabbids: Spark of Hope, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, and Just Dance 2023. Now, they say the slate is missing heavy hitters like Assassin's Creed or a Tom Clancy title. However, Ubisoft says this year will be the largest ever for Rainbow Six content and features. There's also more Assassin's Creed content planned throughout 2022, but now the major new Assassin's Creed title will not launch during these quarters. Now, I'm not the biggest Tom Clancy fan, nor am I the biggest Rainbow Six Siege fan. But I do appreciate those games and how much they've grown. Now, I actually like the new. I played it with Eshin. It's what is it? Rainbow Six Extraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that I had a blast playing that. But anyways, yeah, the only title that I'm really excited about in this lineup, to be completely honest, is Just Dance 2020. I'm just kidding. No. The only the title that I'm excited about is actually Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I'm a huge fan of that film, the Avatar film, and of course anticipating the new one, the trailer that just dropped. And here's the thing with this game. Now, I've been following this. This has been in development for quite a long time at this point. But I've been following it, and I know that James Cameron does not settle for anything but quality.
Oh, yeah.
And if anybody remembers the James Cameron's Avatar the game that came out when Avatar released, now that game was not anything super special. However, it was a solid well-made game. It was a finished product when it came out. It wasn't bugged. It wasn't a mess. It was a good game, and I've got a soft spot for that game for other reasons. We'll talk about it on another episode. But I'm excited for that one. Is there anything, Moose, that's striking you that you're getting pumped about here? Or?
Yeah, so actually probably the Avatar game as well. Now, one thing, I didn't play the old one, but much like you mentioned, James Cameron, I mean, everything he touches turns to gold, man. Like, he just,
Definitely.
he expects perfection, and I mean, that's what you should expect, right? And I mean, obviously, judging by his past. Now, a question I had, is he going to be deeply involved with the game? Or is he, I mean, I know he's going to have some involvement, but is he, or is he kind of just focusing more on the film, and kind of just letting these guys go with it? That's a question that I'm just kind of curious about. But
so yeah, so I haven't read anything specifically with James Cameron talking anything about the game now. But knowing his track record, I mean, he was very involved in the production of the first game when that first film launched. He really wanted this to be. It sounds very corporate to say, but he wanted it to be a multimedia assault kind of, books coming out, there's a video game coming out, there's a movie coming out. So knowing his track record with that kind of stuff and how he kind of likes to present things, I would be very, very shocked if he wasn't heavily involved. But we'll definitely keep a beat on the story, and if anything comes out of his involvement and him speaking on it, we'll definitely share it, because yeah,
and what a time to announce it too, man. With, of course, the new Avatar coming out as well, and just the trailer just blew me away, which I knew it would. And it's just so definitely good timing here. But it's this is actually a pretty cool lineup, man. I'm actually kind of excited about it. Skull and Bones I haven't looked into yet, but for some reason I have heard of Skull and Bones, so I'm definitely going to be looking into that one later. And as far as Just Dance goes, maybe 10 years ago, I was definitely really good at the game, but not so much probably anymore. So
yeah, Skull and Bones, they keep talking about how that's some big anticipated game. They headlined that article with Skull and Bones in there, which kind of surprised me, because I don't know a lot about this game, and I haven't heard a lot about the game. All I know is that it's an upcoming action adventure game. It's developed by Ubisoft Singapore. And published by Ubisoft. I guess it was set to release in April of 2022, but I guess it's to be announced now. But I don't know. I guess it looks like there's some kind of pirate warfare going on in the game. Looks interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I know for 100% fact we have heard about this and probably talked about this in the past, but it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Definitely, I'll be keeping an eye on it for sure.
For sure.
But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, our last news nugget for right now, we kind of wanted to talk about, kind of saved the best for last, in my opinion at least, Dead Space, the remake. It officially has a launch date, not just a window, but a launch day. Now, of course, we know how launches, sometimes they'll get pushed back. Let's hope that's not the case. But I know a ton of you out there are massive Dead Space fans. Arguably one of the greatest horror games of all time, series of all time. So, and this article comes from The Verge, by the way. And honestly, this for me, this gives EA some bonus points, because I feel like the community pushed hard for this remake, and I feel like that played a massive part in the reason why EA is doing this. So it looks like their Motive Studio, of course, behind Dead Space, they had a live stream recently, kind of detailing not too many details, but detailing exactly when it's going to be released. Kind of how the remaster, the remake, I should say, kind of how it's going to be laid out. Now, they're going to focus, of course, on the horror storytelling, the immersion of the game, and also a lived-in world. Every object from the plasma cutters to the health tanks tells a story, so every object in the living world will have a meaning. Now, that has me really excited about this remake, so we'll definitely have to kind of see how that works out. Are you a Dead Space fan, Echo?
I am. I kind of have an interesting story about why I'm a fan and how that happened. I'll try to make it quick as possible, but which is kind of a challenge sometimes for me. But no, I've been a long time Capcom fan and a long time Resident Evil fan, as far back as I can remember. Now, however, whenever Dead Space came out, I was a college student at the time, and I was in my dorm, and I was a big Resident Evil fan, and I kind of had a problem with Dead Space. I kind of was like, I really wanted a new Resident Evil game at that point, at that time, and I was just being a cynical jerk as a college kid, I just wanted my game when I wanted it, and so I kind of ignored it at first. But there was this kid that was in my dorm area, and I would walk by his room every day, and he would have his door open, and he'd be playing Dead Space, and I'd be like, Dead Space, whatever. I just want my Resident Evil, whatever. And then I would keep walking by, and I'd be like, God dang it, that looks cool. And so finally I just went in there, I just watched him play for a while, and then I went and picked up a copy, and the rest is history.
Oh, boy, was it cool, dude. Jesus,
but I did read an article this is coming from TheVerge.com. I guess there was a live stream that was done. It says, today in the developer live stream, the team at EA Motive Studio announced the remake of 2008 survival horror smash hit. Of course, the launch date, January 27th. Though the live stream was plagued by several technical hiccups, it was primarily focused on the art of the Dead Space remake. The developer team outlined 3 pillars that underpin the game's uniquely horrifying look and feel. Horror and storytelling. Dead Space is obviously set in space, but sci-fi is not the visual driver's seat. It's all the spooky stuff that happens. Second one is immersion. The developers have stressed that their goal is to ensure players will be scared of what's in front of them. The third one is a lived-in world. Every object, from the plasma cutters to the health tanks, tells a story and has a meaning. Now, of course, that sounds like kind of developer bullshit, just trying to sell the game.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? I'm with it. I'm hyped and excited. I'm a big Dead Space fan. I'm a big fan of survival horror, and I'm hoping for the best. Of course things can happen, but I'm trying to stay optimistic, and hopefully they'll knock it out of the park. Yeah.
Yeah, and considering the success of the series, dude. I mean, this is kind of one of those remakes where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna pull the string on this, like a no-brainer. So, but of course we'll be following it, down the road, kind of talking about it more, and kind of following the development and see what happens.
For sure.
All right, so big story, Echo. This is a big one. Excited to hear about it. What do you got, man?
Big one. Okay, great. So this one is about EA. Now, I found an article here from Game Informer. Here's what those 4 unknown EA games could be. Now, that's what the headline reads. EA shared some financial results yesterday, and these included a slide that listed the company's 2023 fiscal year title slate. On it were a number of titles we expect to release this year, such as Madden, NFL 23, NHL 23, yawn, and a new Need for Speed game. However, that's where the known quantities end, save for the next EA Sports PGA title, which is delayed to early 2023 because in quarter 4. But the big deal here, though, is the 4 things that are coming out are going to be a major IP, a partner title, a remake, and a sports title. That's kind of the big news that they're dropping now. There's a lot of games that we know are in development right now, and so people are trying to kind of, because nothing's official at this point, people are trying to kind of put those games in those slots that would fill those four slots.
Right.
Now, what do you think? Now we know that I would say Dead Space can definitely fill the remake slot there. The sports title, I don't really care. I mean, now I shouldn't be crude about that. Do you play the Madden games or anything?
To be honest, I'm a big sports fan. I do play quite a bit of Madden, but I'm not really concerned about, when it comes to EA games and things, I'm not really concerned about what their sports title is going to be.
For sure. But
as far as I'm concerned, I think these titles could be huge. As you mentioned, Dead Space, of course, Mass Effect in development right now, Dragon Age in development as well, and Jedi, the next installment of Jedi Fallen Order is also in development.
That's one of the big ones.
So
yeah,
this is huge news, man. I mean, these are some massive AAA games we're talking about, if that's what they're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised if Star Wars Fallen Order 2 is not one of those games in those slots.
Yeah,
because we know it's in development. We know it's been in development for quite a while. So this is big news. EA's a complicated company.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're also behind some of our favorite games, and so we're definitely going to follow whenever they announce what those games are exactly going to be. For sure, we'll definitely follow up on that and keep you guys up to date. on that.
For me, it's a love-hate relationship, man. Like I hate the way EA. Well, I can't really say hate. I strongly dislike the way that EA handles some things as far as like microtransactions or cancellations, things like that. But at the same time, like you mentioned, I mean, they make so many great games, man, and it's so hard to get away from them. So
It is.
so it's going to be interesting to see, to see what they unveil here.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm excited, and if one of those games happens to be Fallen Order 2, which I think it's going to be, I loved, and I know you did too, Moose. I loved Star Wars Fallen Order, so
Incredible.
and I have complete confidence that the sequel will be, nothing short of fantastic as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a bit biased because and I know you are too, huge Star Wars
Sure.
fans, but it's just we've played some bad Star Wars games too, and
Oh, yeah.
this one, I mean, Fallen Order just had it all, man. Oh, and I did want to mention too, our our mysterious insider that we mentioned on a previous episode, Jeff Grubbs, which I still don't know a whole lot about.
He's back.
But he apparently he broke the name, so we'll see if it's true or not. He broke the name of the new Jedi. Well, it's not Fallen Order. It's going to be Jedi Survivor. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, so...
I actually didn't hear about that one. Old Jeff Grubbs, man. He's just hustling out there. Getting the news for us, man.
Yeah, so if any of you guys out there know Jeff Grubbs, please let us know in the comments, kind of validate it a little bit for us, because we hear this guy everywhere now when we're looking at news stories, so we'll see
Absolutely.
We'll see
Come
how
on the
it
show.
goes.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
But we're going to move into a story that Moose has got for us. This is about space punks, and I know this is a game that he's super passionate about and loves the community. So what have you got for us on space punks, Moose?
Yeah, okay, guys. So, again, Echo, I know you and I are both big fans of looter shooters. I did want to kind of talk about space punks a little bit, because what this game is, this is a live service, living world looter shooter. Now, it's not your typical, third or first person looter shooter. It's top down, isometric, smaller maps, kind of thing, but there is a ton of action in this game. Now, it has just been released in open beta. I've been covering the game for probably, I think, close to a year now, when it was in its closed beta, or alpha, whatever you want to call it. I've seen several different changes, several different improvements, including a really in-depth crafting system. The game's heavily loot-based, so there's always ways of upgrading your gear and weapons. And you know as well as I do, Echo, one thing you look for in a looter shooter is replayability. You always want something new to do, a new quest, a new mission, and I think that's where Space Punks is kind of nailing it. Now, they do have a cool endgame too called the Crack, and it's sort of a horde shooter endgame that the further you progress through it, the better loot you get. So it's really interesting. Now, there's a few issues right now because whenever Space Punks was in early beta, I don't think that I really don't think they expected to get as many players as they did when open beta launched. Of course, it is a free-to-play game on Epic Game Store only right now, coming to consoles later this year. But their servers kind of got overloaded massively with players, and they're releasing a patch on May 19th to hopefully address a lot of those issues. But honestly, I will say I think Space Punks has a very bright future. I want to see them ported out to consoles. I want to say as soon as possible, but when they're ready, I'd like to see them do that, because I think a lot of players are going to get on board with this game, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the last time we talked about it, you and I talked about it, the game kind of seemed like it was kind of in a unsure state. You weren't as confident about talking about the state of it as you are now, which is a relief. And I also, it's news to me, not this week but last week, I found out as you were talking about the game that it's coming out for consoles. And I didn't know that, and so that's got me even more excited about it, and to know that you're excited about it too. But no, as you were saying, they probably didn't anticipate, how populated their servers were going to be,
right?
Which I'm sure just happens a lot to a lot of developers, all the time.
For sure.
But it sounds like the state of where it's at now and where it's going. It sounds like you're pretty confident, at least, in having a pretty bright future at the moment.
Well, I did some research on the developer and publisher. The developer, of course, is Flying Wild Hog, and the publisher is Jagex. Now, Flying Wild Hog, actually, they're a pretty big developer, and they actually have a lot of games going out right now. I think the most recent was Trek to Yomi, which is a side-scroller,
Okay.
which is actually very popular too. Really good with critics right now. A lot of people are playing that, so they're working on a few things. But Space Punks, again, a twin-stick shooter, guys. I like to call it a top-down Borderlands because that's exactly how it looks to me. Kind of like a
Yeah.
cartoonish look. The dialogue in the game, definitely Borderlands-esque in my opinion. But we'll see how it works out. Looter shooters nowadays seem to be a hit or a miss. But I'm all in for it, man, because it's everything I kind of want out of one right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the look of the game. I think it's got a very striking visual look. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's got a very bright, colorful palette. It's got kind of that cartoony kind of Borderlands look. I mean, it's definitely very appealing looking, and it definitely have a unique style of their own, I think.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
But
Yep.
yeah, we're gonna hop over to another story. Sorry, Moose, did you want to add something to the Spacepunk stuff? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just
Cut you
gonna
off there.
say, after the 19th of May, whenever they drop the patch, and we'll see how it goes, and then we'll talk further about it and see how that kind of improved things a little bit.
For sure, yeah, we'll definitely follow it, and I know Moose especially will follow it and keep us all updated on what's going on, especially with the console release. I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, twin
Um,
stick, dude, on consoles for sure.
yeah, but the next story we have is actually about Mass Effect. Now, I know I said that I wouldn't talk about it much anymore, but it's one of our big stories this week, so we kind of have to. No, this is from IGN, and this is an article that's been edited, so I'm going to kind of read it out of order a little bit, but we'll make it work. The title reads, Mass Effect 5, Shepard reference was a mistake, it seems. And it says the original description was written by the people who are not familiar with the game. Now, if you're asking what description is that, basically what happened was there is a picture that leaked a while ago of the Commander Shepard's ship, the Normandy. And basically, if you go to the BioWare website, you can buy that picture, that shot of the Normandy, that kind of top-down shot. And in the description of that picture that you can buy, there's a little excerpt that talks about Commander Shepard possibly returning. Now, I'll go into the article here, basically, and talk about it. The BioWare store listed and quickly deleted a product description that implies original Mass Effect protagonist Commander Shepard is returning to the game. As reported by Video Games Chronicle, YouTuber Mr. Hulfin noticed a plot synopsis in the description of Mass Effect 5 poster that we were just talking about, which indicates that Shepard would return. Though it was quickly removed, the description originally read, "The show goes on. Shepard's final quest may have ended the threat of the Reapers," which were the big alien force that they were fighting in the game, but at a great cost, including Earth itself. While Shepard and the survivors are left to pick up the pieces, fans are left wondering what's next. So there's a couple different caveats to this story. So obviously, when people will grab at anything, especially Mass Effect fans. I try to temper myself, but
yeah.
like fans of big franchises like this, whenever there's any kind of news tidbits coming out or rumors, people just grab it and they run with it, and it just becomes this huge monster of a thing. Now, sometimes there's a kernel of truth in that, but most times it's something that's been blown out of proportions. Now their excuse seems pretty relevant. I mean, I would imagine the press team and people that write for them and that do these things on the store, they're not as familiar as maybe a fan like myself or other people that are fans of the Mass Effect franchise. They're not as familiar with the lore and the ending of Mass Effect 3 and the canon and all of that. They're not as familiar with that. But
And if we know BioWare, I mean, you have to get, their lore is extremely in depth. I mean, that's what they're known for. So yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just one of those things that I don't. Shepard could be in the next Mass Effect. He might not be. I'm kind of lean towards right now thinking he's probably not going to be in the next Mass Effect. I don't think they're going to go in that direction. I think they're going to go in another direction completely different from Andromeda and the first 3 games. But that's just my opinion. I do want to give a quick shout out to a friend of mine and a Mass Effect content creator. Her name is N7 Kate. Now, and I'll put all our information and all of her Twitter things in there too in the description. But she made a really cool video discussing her thoughts on this and kind of what she was making of it. And she's a huge Mass Effect fan like myself, but she's got a very clear, level head about this kind of stuff, and really doesn't jump to conclusions and make these grand hypotheses about what's happening in the franchise. So she kind of dissects it and analyzes it in a very kind of clear-headed way. So I'm gonna definitely put her video in the description, and much love to her for all she does for that
cool,
community.
Man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, next we've got a little thing on Silent Hill. It's not just Mass Effect that had a bit of a possible leak situation. Now this comes from PlayStation Lifestyle .net. Let me go ahead and just move over to it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Now this actually does have some leaked screenshots that were reportedly leaked. Now, this comes from PlayStationLifestyle.net. A new Silent Hill game screenshots accompanied by a few details seem to have leaked out in the wee hours of the morning and are being taken down via copyright strikes, presumably by IP owner and publisher Konami. Known leaker and insider Dusk Golem shared several images from what he claims now is Silent Hill game, as it appeared during development in 2020. A copyright strike suggests the images are indeed real. Now, we'll put the link in the description, but they've got they've got about 4 shots in here that have,
they're kind of telling, aren't they? I mean, pretty good.
It looks like a game that would be made in the past couple of years. I mean, in a good way. The character models look like of the era.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I mean, now we don't know anything about the next Silent Hill game. We don't know anything about the story or where they're gonna go with it. But I'm willing to bet that these are probably legitimate. What do you think, Moose?
Yeah, I mean, coming from Konami, they're the ones that are going around and taking down the shots. I think if they weren't worried about something getting leaked or anything or if there was no Silent Hill in production or pre-production or anything like that, they wouldn't be concerned about that. But the fact that they're rushing to take these screenshots down is definitely telling me, something may be up here with Silent Hill. Now, of course, as most of you guys know, we've had the player teaser came out years ago, probably back in 2014-15, regarding a new Silent Hills game, which was going to come out featuring Norman Reedus. That's, of course, with when Hideo Kojima was with Konami. But unfortunately some things happened there and that never came to fruition. So, and I know there's a massive cult fan base for Silent Hill, so it would make sense if we saw a new Silent Hill in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And fans of Silent Hill, I would say I'm a bigger Resident Evil fan, but I'm also a huge Silent Hill fan. Mm-hmm. Fans of this franchise are ready. I mean, we're ready for a new game. I mean, the last real release that we had that was Silent Hill. I mean, aside from the PT trailer or the PT teaser demo that we had back in whatever was it 2013, around that era?
Yeah, it was a while ago now. Yeah, probably about that. Yeah.
It was a while ago. The only thing that we've got since then has been the HD collection, which was abysmal.
Right.
And had all kinds of problems. So, I mean, the reason I'm willing to bet this is probably true is because it's about time. I mean, there's a new Silent Hill game. There's no reason why Konami would not, at some point, capitalize on Silent Hill again.
Yeah, and it's still hot. I mean, it's still talked about all the time. Why not, right?
It's a huge franchise. There's lots of fans. There's lots of money they can make from it. And, just from the image that they're showing, now there's no context to the images really that they've leaked here, but they do look pretty interesting. There's one of like a really shitty looking house or apartment that's got trash bags everywhere.
That's the one I'm looking at right now. Yeah,
it looks very uncomfortable, like Silent Hill, which is very uncomfortable a lot of the time. It's got a lot of dark, grim imagery here. There's a room with like about 1 billion sticky notes on it, with a crazed person at the end of the hall. I mean, we'll show you guys we'll in the description we'll leave the link. But
Yeah, and these images are from 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, what also now Konami's also big on their graphics and their aesthetic and everything of their games as well. Now I know a lot of developers are doing this right now. They're scrapping development for their games so they can redevelop them on Unreal Engine 5. So I'm wondering if maybe that's kind of the direction Konami's going now with Silent Hill. We'll see. But something's on the horizon, man. Something's coming. It has to be.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think whether this is the leak or not, we're going to be hearing something within at least the next year or so about something new Silent Hill related. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to go ahead and do our emails for this section. Now we did get one. Now this comes. He actually sent this in via Twitter. He's actually a part of the Predator Hunting Grounds community. This comes from @AngelDeadRose. He asks, this is kind of an odd question. We're going to try to answer it in the best way we can, but we definitely wanted to answer it because he did take the time to send it. He says, what started this Yautja clan for you guys? And of course, Yautja is the Predator race in the Predator franchise. He asks, the game or franchise. So what started this Yautja clan for you guys, or Yautja clan for you guys, the game or franchise? Now, Moose, you have an answer, because I'm still working on mine.
Yeah, so I mean, the only way I can kind of put this together, and what I think maybe Angel again, yes, thank you so much for sending in the question, man. That's awesome. We're happy you enjoy the show. For me, the game itself, I've been a Predator fan, Yautja fan since I was, since I can remember, 5 years old, maybe younger than that. Of course, I was born in '90. The first film came out in '87, so there was actually games well before Predator Hunting Grounds, including AVP 2010, Colonial Marines, things like that we've been fans of before Predator Hunting Grounds. So honestly, if that's kind of what you're meaning with the question, Predator Hunting Grounds is the last thing that would be, that sparked my... Because I was already a massive fan of the franchise well before that. But amazing game, of course. Of course, everybody knows how much Echo and I, adore that game. But yeah.
I mean, just to kind of go off and riff off of what he was talking about, I think that's a pretty good way to answer that question. I mean, like, kind of where was our first kind of initiation or excitement about the Predator franchise? And for me, I was born in '89, so just one year before Moose here. But I think I want to say I saw Predator at around age 6 or 7. A neighborhood friend of mine, his dad owned it on VHS, and he just let him watch stuff like that. And so we were just in there, and we popped it in, and we're watching it. And as a kid that's 6 years old, you're pretty impressionable.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And of course, later on, I saw Aliens, and of course, I got into Aliens vs. Predator, and I got into the comics, and I got into the games, and that whole world kind of blossomed, and I got really, really into it. But yeah, no, I love it. I'm glad that we have Predator Hunting Grounds. I think the devs at IllFonic are just fantastic at what they do, and they've really pumped a lot of genuine authenticity into it for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with me too, man. It was like probably about 5 or 6 as well, and for the longest time, I was probably 8 or 9 years old before I even realized that the movie was entitled Predator. Between that and Predator 2, I thought it was just some kind of extraterrestrial monster just killing everybody. I didn't even think of it. I was like, this is so freaking awesome. Just an alien just coming down and just stealthily hunting everybody. So yeah, I mean, yeah, both of us fans for a long time. But that also leads me in to my question of the week. Now, we did talk about a few remakes, remasters, and things like that today. My question is, what game, it doesn't matter from what time period, what game do you guys want to see remade or remastered in the future? I can think of a few. I'll answer mine on the next episode, but I want to know what you guys, what you're looking forward to as far as a remake or a remaster.
That's a good question, Moose, because there's just, and we're all different, but there's just so many things out there that, I think we all have our imaginary kind of list of things we want to be remastered and remade.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it'll be really interesting hearing people's opinions and thoughts on it for sure.
Exactly, absolutely.
But we're gonna go ahead and close the show out. We really appreciate you guys coming out and supporting us, and the fact that you guys keep watching and listening is huge and means the world to us. Now we'll go ahead and throw our Twitter and social handles out. You can definitely follow me at umbrella_ops. That is at UMBRELL_OPS. And Moose, where can we find you, man?
Yep, mine's SGT_Moose. You can find me there on Twitter as well.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you again so much. We love doing this. We're going to keep doing this. And we will see you next week with a brand new episode with all kinds of great stuff. Right, Moose?
Oh, absolutely. Cannot wait, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
All right,
Bye.
take care.